Hi everybody, welcome to English 1102. I'm Professor Hart. I'm sorry that this video is coming a little late in the semester. I usually like to have a video posted on the first day, but my life got a little busy with the birth of my niece and it kind of got me behind on some work stuff. So this video is coming to you later than I meant for it to, but that's okay, you have it now. I want to do a few things in this video. I want to introduce myself a little bit. Um, and then I want to talk about why I designed the class the way that I did. So what's fun about getting to teach English is you get to pick your own theme. And I like teaching fear and horror for 1102, and I'll explain why. Um, and then I also want to actually show you your prompt for Essay 1. You may have already looked at it, but I just kind of want to talk to you about the process for writing that essay and what I will be expecting you to do when you complete that. So we'll just start quickly by me introducing myself. I have been teaching at UWG. This is my 7th year. I'm an alumni from UWG, so I have an English bachelor's and master's from here. I am finishing a PhD in English right now at Georgia State. I'm writing my dissertation as we speak. I'm writing about conspiracy theories, which, wow, it has been an adventure and I've learned so much over the past 3 or 4 years that I've been working on my PhD. But it's in English and it's about conspiracy theories, but it's also about how to help students write well, which those may not seem connected, but I promise you it is. You can read my dissertation if you want to. I'm sure you don't. But that's kind of like what I'm doing during the day is teaching and also working on my dissertation. I also direct the Cornerstone course at UWG. If you took an XIDS first year seminar Cornerstone course last year or even this year, I'm the person who kind of organizes all that stuff. So I'm pretty busy. But in my spare time, I live in Carrollton. I have a cat and a dog that I love very much. I have a husband too. We live, like I said, in Carrollton. I teach yoga for fun. That's kind of about it. I also like to read a lot for fun. So you'll catch me reading and reviewing books a lot because that's what I like to do in my spare time. Oh, and I asked y'all like if you play a sport or a musical instrument. I don't do either of those things. I do, like I said, teach yoga, but I'm not good at sports. I think I asked y'all what your worst fear is too, and it was so funny to hear all the different responses. Somebody was like, there's a lot of spiders in the class. Somebody said frogs. I think somebody said small holes or something like that, and I was like, I want to know more. It's so interesting to hear what kinds of things freak people out, but mine is mice and rats. Terrified. Even like baby mice, terrified. Absolutely. And I don't really know why, but I always, I couldn't watch the movie Stuart Little when I was a kid because I was like, I don't want to see the mouse. And in fact, actually recently I went to Epcot and I rode the Ratatouille ride. I was disturbed, and it's cartoons. So I don't know where it comes from, but it's definitely a fear of mine. Um, a lot of people said that their fear was clowns, and that will sort of bring me to talking about our syllabus. Clowns is a popular fear, and it's a one that's really interesting to investigate. And you guys made some really smart observations in your first discussion post. A couple of people said stuff like, clowns are freaky because they're wearing makeup. And that's true, right? We want to be able to see somebody's face and know what they're thinking. But clowns are kind of tricky. And they're exaggerated too, right? Their faces don't look normal, and we kind of like for things to look normal most of the time. And so, and the John Wayne Gacy tie-in, y'all talked about that too. That is a big reason why clowns became so freaky. Excuse me. But no, let me go back. John Wayne Gacy, makeup, just in general, they're strange. But I want to make sure that everyone knows that Stephen King is the author of the book It. I read the book It this year, in February of this year. It took me a month to read it because it's 1,200 pages. It's very long. But this is what the film that I've asked you to watch is based on. And Stephen King wrote it in the 80s, so it was right after John Wayne Gacy went on his killing spree, so he was definitely inspired by that. That's why I had y'all listen to that John Wayne Gacy song and talk about him, not just to freak you out, but to give you some sort of historical context for where this book came from. I'm going to show you our syllabus really quick and explain to you a little bit more about what I'm thinking about why I chose fear. Oh, look, there's my niece. Let me scoot myself down, and I'm actually going to go to the syllabus. You've probably already looked at this, but just in case you haven't, you need to familiarize yourself with this document. And my course description here, I think, kind of tells you what I'm thinking. There are a lot of different ways to think about fear. There can be literal fears, but then there can be abstract ones. Some of you mentioned that your worst fear is failure. Someone said their worst fear was trying really hard and still failing, and that hit me because I feel the exact same way. So there's a lot of different parts of our life that we can talk about with this emotion of fear. And the main point of taking these English 1101 and 1102 courses is that you're going to learn how to write better, but also in order to write better, you're going to learn how to think more broadly. So honestly, this class could be themed anything. We could talk about humor. We could talk about identity. Sometimes I talk about cults in this class. I've had that theme before. One time I did witches as the theme because we were talking about women and magic. So you can really think about anything. But I choose fear because I do think it gives us a lot of ground to cover. Now, the film, is the only true horror film or experience that you'll have in this class. The other things are much more abstract as we move forward. So don't think that I'm going to ask you to watch a bunch of scary stuff just to torture you. That's not my intention at all. It really is to help you think more broadly and philosophically so that you can become a better writer. So that's kind of my intention. The learning outcomes are all listed here. If you have any questions about my choices or what the point of this class is, please feel free to reach out. I'm happy to explain more. I do have just other quick things to mention. I don't have a copy of Educated here on me. It's on my bookshelf, but the only thing you need to buy for this class is the book Educated. It's what we'll write Essay 2 on, and that's not due for a little bit, but you may want to go ahead and place that order if you haven't already gotten a hold of that book. It's going to be important as we move forward. And then you'll also need access to Netflix later in the semester. Just very quickly so you know, the discussions and quizzes for the class are worth 20%. The essay building, which you have possibly started but maybe not, is worth 15. There's one essay reflection that I pull out and make worth a little bit more for essay 1. And then the formal assignments are each worth 20% apiece. There's a pretty detailed schedule here and other policies about the class on the syllabus. I hope you've already looked at that stuff, but if not, please take a second sometime this week and make sure you're all caught up. Okay, so now where I'm going to take you is, let me actually take you to the content page and show you what I have posted for your essay prompt. It's listed here at the top. By the way, if you haven't clicked the content page yet, make sure you do that too. I try to organize things pretty carefully so that it's hard to miss assignments. Like, I don't want you to get confused about what's due. So in addition to the announcements that I post on the homepage, I also embed weekly due dates. So click content and you can see it from week to week. I probably should click view as a student though, so you can see so I can see what you see. So hold on just a second. Back to content. All right, so let's start by talking really quickly about the interpretive analysis prompt. Can't remember off the top of my head the due date there, but it's all listed in Coursed-In, and I want to show you this is the first major assignment. If you've looked to see what I've given you as a grade for your discussions, you'll kind of see that it's impossible to do badly on those unless you just don't follow the directions, right? The discussions are really just kind of pass-fail almost. So you'll get a lot of hundreds on those. That's not the way that the essays are graded. The essays are graded in, which you probably remember from 1101, but with whoever you took, but they're a little bit more detailed, a little bit more thorough. So because of that, I like to give you a lot more support along the way. So the first essay that you write for this class is an interpretive analysis, and I'll tell you why I'm asking you to write it. There's a discussion post coming up that talks about the relationship between people and fiction, like why are we attracted to fiction? And part of it is because I think that humans like to make meaning of the world around them and understand what's going on. That's kind of why conspiracy theories occur too, because you're like, okay, is Elvis alive? There's another one. My students told me that people think Michael Jackson is alive right now. I'm not sure. I don't think he is, but I'm not sure why that's a conspiracy theory. But it is kind of similar to fiction. We tell stories to ourselves in a way to kind of understand some of the chaos. Because if you've been alive for any amount of time, you realize the world's a complicated place. And one of the ways we try to figure it out is through stories. So when we analyze a text like it, we're learning context, we're learning how to empathize and understand other people, and realize that there are a lot of different perspectives in the world. If you think back to that John Wayne Gacy song that y'all analyzed, everyone almost had the same question, which is like, why did the singer compare himself to John Wayne Gacy? That guy's a murderer. And then a lot of you came up with good answers too. It was kind of like, well, because we may not be that bad, but we're bad in some way, possibly. Or maybe that's what the author of the song is suggesting. You could totally disagree with that and think people are great. But he seems to be suggesting there's some darkness or some secrets in humanity. That's kind of his argument. So all that to say, this essay is going to help you analyze. It's going to help you understand the visibility of a trope or a larger pattern of meaning. You'll support your analysis of that trope with evidence, and you're critically reading and analyzing a text. You'll also be using a secondary source for this. There's support for that throughout the essay building process, so don't worry too much about that yet. But here's the prompt. You're going to choose one trope. This is similar to what you did for discussion 1.1, and you're going to write your paper about what you think the film is arguing through the use of that trope. What is the film saying about the relationship between people and humor? Or what is the message about fear in it? What is it saying about gender roles? You're picking one of those and tracking several different instances of its occurrence to make a larger statement about how that trope operates in it. Keep in mind, you're interpreting how the film represents the trope. It doesn't matter if you agree or disagree with it right now. You're saying this is an argument that's being made in this film. You could, again, say, I hate that argument. That's neither here nor there. You're just recognizing that it exists. Each of these pieces of the essay will be built in essay building. Some of y'all have already jumped ahead and done essay building 1.1, that's great. But you'll see that the next few assignments that I release, there won't be discussion boards anymore. They will be essay building assignments that are purposed to help you put the pieces of the paper together. So when you get to the due date, you'll have a rough draft already written based on what I've asked you to do for the essay building assignments. This is how I teach in person and online, and I get a lot of feedback from students that it's really helpful because you can get to be thoughtful early. I don't know how many of y'all wait till the last minute usually to write papers. I know I do. I'm writing a dissertation right now, and I have a big due date at the end of this month, and I still have 10 pages left to go. And I'm like, if I had written more in July, I wouldn't be so stressed out in August. But it's kind of our nature, I think, sometimes to put stuff off. So that's why I'm really careful about asking you to do stuff early in this class through essay building, so that when you get to the final deadline, you not only have most of the paper written, but you've been thinking about it for a while. What you'll learn through this class and through your college experience, especially in relationship to writing, is that it never happens quickly or easily. And that's just unfortunate, and it's just kind of the nature of the game. But if you've ever practiced being good at anything, whether it's a sport or a musical instrument, to go back to that question, you'll know that it takes a lot of work and it takes practice. You couldn't just show up to a football game without having gone to the practices. Or I guess you could, but bless you, I don't know how that would go. You wouldn't show up to a recital without having been to the dance practice, right? You need to have a background in the performance before doing the performance. And that's what I hope all of the assignments that I give you in this class do for you, that they prepare you for the big things. Nothing that I assign is busy work. It's always purpose to help you get prepared for those larger assignments. I hope all that makes sense, and I've said a lot in this video, and it's kind of longer than I meant for it to be, so I'm sorry about that. But there's one other thing I want to mention, and you can reach out to me about this if you're interested. I sometimes, when I teach online, will offer an optional virtual meeting once or twice a month that students can come if you wanted to talk about it more, like if you felt like you didn't really understand it, or if you wanted just to hear other people's thoughts. I'm happy to organize it's kind of like a book club sort of virtual meeting. If this is something that you're like, I really would, Professor Hart, I would like to attend a virtual meeting with you and some other people a few times throughout the semester, send me an email and I will get it set up with those of you who are interested. Sometimes I set these up and nobody comes, which is fine, and that's okay, but if you want it, you need to tell me so we can actually plan it together and make it a thing so people show up, because it's really fun when people do. But again, I know we're all busy and it's an online class. All right, I'll be diligent about making a few more of these videos throughout the semester, just so you can kind of get a different understanding of all the assignments that are due and that kind of thing. But reach out to me if you need anything. I'm always happy to help. I have office hours for that reason, so just let me know if you need anything as the semester progresses. Thanks, y'all.